Sirens wail distantly, but no one comes to their aid. She kneels beside him, pressing on his wound, her trembling hands coated in his blood. For a moment, she thinks he won't make it, but his chest rises weakly. With strength she doesn't know she has, Emily pulls him to her makeshift shelter beneath the bridge. Hours pass as the fire dies out in the distance. Alexander stirs, groaning, and his eyes slowly open to the dim glow of a small fire she's lit with scraps. Confusion fills his gaze. He sees the bruised woman watching him closely, a mix of suspicion and concern in her eyes. "You saved me," he whispers, his voice hoarse. Emily looks away, her tone cold. "You were going to die. I couldn't just watch." "You risked your life for a stranger," he says, a hint of wonder beneath his pain. She smirks bitterly. "You're no stranger to this city, are you? I've seen your face on billboards. You're the man with everything." Alexander sits up with effort, wincing. "And you? Who are you?" Emily's eyes harden. "Nobody." When dawn breaks, the rain stops, leaving the city wet and shimmering. Emily helps him walk to a nearby street where no one asks questions. He tries to call for a car, but his phone is gone. For the first time, Alexander is without his wealth shield. He looks at Emily, realizing she's surviving in a world he's never known. She guides him through back alleys, avoiding prying eyes, until they reach the edge of the city where his driver picks them up. She refuses to get into the car. "Come with me," he urges. "You saved my life. Let me at least repay you." She hesitates, then steps into the car, her eyes darting nervously at the plush leather seats. The drive to his penthouse feels like crossing into another universe. When they arrive, the towering building looms over her, and she almost turns back, but his gentle voice stops her. Inside, the luxurious space overwhelms her senses. He gives her food, clean clothes, a shower. For the first time in years, she feels human again. That night, as she eats quietly, Alexander studies her. "You're not just someone living on the streets. Who are you really?" Emily sets down her fork, staring at the city lights through the glass wall. Someone who lost everything because of one man's greed. Something flickers in Alexander's eyes, pain, guilt, a shadow. Days pass, and despite her initial distance, she begins to open up. He learns she was once a promising student, with a father who stood against corruption. But when he exposed fraud inside a major corporation, they lost everything. Her father died mysteriously soon after, and she was left alone, fighting to survive. Alexander's face pales when he hears the company's name, Hart Industries. "I own that company now," he says softly. Emily stiffens, rage burning in her eyes. "Then you're the reason my life was destroyed." "No," he says quickly, his voice trembling. "My father was. I've spent years trying to undo the damage he caused." The tension between them shifts into something unspoken. Their pain mirrors each other's. Alexander shows her files, proof of his battles against the corrupt board members who orchestrated her father's ruin. Emily realizes he's not the enemy, he's the only one who can help her seek justice. When the same men who once destroyed her life send thugs to silence her, Alexander fights to protect her. Together, they gather evidence, confronting the board in a tense showdown where secrets are exposed and the guilty fall. Justice finally comes, but the cost is high. They've both risked everything. Weeks later, Emily no longer walks the streets. She stands beside Alexander, stronger than ever, working to help others who were forgotten like her. On the rooftop of his penthouse, overlooking the glowing city, they share a moment of peace. "You saved me that night," Alexander says softly. Emily smiles faintly. "No, we saved each other." As the city hums below, they kiss, and the world feels new. The rain still seeps through cracks in the roof of the abandoned warehouse as Emily crouches beside Alexander, her hands moving with practiced precision. She cleans his wounds with water from a battered bottle, tearing strips from her own clothes to bandage him. Each movement is swift, efficient. This isn't the first time she's had to save someone. He winces in pain but says nothing, watching her silently through half-lidded eyes. Morning breaks with a thin beam of light slicing through the dusty windows. Alexander stirs, his sharp blue eyes opening to a world he's never known. Peeling walls, the smell of rust and damp, a single mattress on the floor. He looks around, disoriented, until his gaze lands on Emily, who's sitting near the door with her hood up, sharpening a piece of metal she uses for protection. "You're awake," she says without looking at him. Alexander struggles to sit, his voice hoarse. "Where am I?" "Safe. For now." Her tone is detached, almost cold. He notices the bruises on her arm, the dirt on her skin, the way she keeps her distance. He reaches for his pocket out of instinct, but his wallet is gone. Before he can speak, she tosses it to him. "Didn't take a thing," she mutters. Pulling out a wad of cash, he extends it toward her. "Take it. For what you did." Emily's eyes flash with something anger, maybe pride. She pushes his hand away. "I'm not interested in your money." Alexander tilts his head, intrigued. "Most people would have taken my watch and left me to burn." She finally meets his gaze, her voice steady and cold. "I'm not most people." The tension between them sharpens, a magnetic pull of opposites. Alexander wants to understand her. She wants him to stop looking at her like she's a puzzle to be solved. Yet something in her eyes makes it impossible for him to stop. He follows her out of the warehouse later, limping slightly. The streets they walk through are unfamiliar to him, narrow alleys where danger hides in every shadow. Emily moves with the ease of someone who belongs there, blending in with the forgotten. When a group of rough-looking men start to follow, she subtly signals him to stay close, and with a clever trick using a broken bottle and a sudden diversion, she gets them both away unharmed. Alexander stares at her in awe. "You live like this every day?" She doesn't answer, just keeps walking. By the time they reach the edge of the city, he's no longer just grateful, he's fascinated. She saved his life, protected him in her world, and refused his wealth. When they finally reach a main road where his driver waits, she hesitates. The luxury car feels like another universe, and she doesn't belong in it. "Come with me," he says softly. Her jaw tightens. "I don't need your charity." "This isn't charity," he insists. "You saved me. Now let me return the favor." Something in his voice breaks through her walls, and she reluctantly gets in. As the city skyline rises before them, her reflection in the car window shows a mix of fear, curiosity, and something she hasn't felt in years, hope. Inside his penthouse, she walks cautiously, every step echoing on marble floors. The city glitters through massive windows, and she feels like an intruder in a dream. He offers her food, clean clothes, and for the first time in years, she eats without looking over her shoulder. Yet she stays distant, her eyes scanning everything, her soul still on guard. As night falls, Alexander approaches her. "Tell me who you are," he asks gently. She exhales, her voice trembling just enough to betray the pain beneath. "Someone who lost everything because of one man's greed." His chest tightens. "Who?" She meets his eyes, and in that moment, a storm brews inside him. Her father's name, the story of their ruin, the way she was forced to the streets, it all connects to a past Alexander has tried to bury. Hart Industries. His family's empire. Guilt washes over him, but he stays silent. The tension between them deepens, laced with secrets and something unspoken, an undeniable pull. He doesn't tell her yet, but he knows the truth. The empire she hates is the one he inherited. And soon, the storm that brought them together will reveal more than either of them is ready to face. Emily walks slightly ahead, her hood low, guiding him with the confidence of someone who knows where to step and where not to linger. Alexander follows, his injured side slowing him down, but he trusts her lead. Each corner they turn is a quiet battle against the world he thought he controlled but clearly doesn't understand. When they finally reach the towering glass building where he lives, Emily hesitates at the entrance. The marble floors, the guards in crisp uniforms, the smell of wealth, it's a world that once crushed hers. For a moment, she turns as if to walk away, but Alexander catches her hand. "Please," he says softly, "just this once. Let me thank you." She says nothing, but she follows. Inside the penthouse, the contrast hits her like a storm. Crystal chandeliers, expensive art, a city view that stretches forever, everything screams of a life she once only dreamed about. She pretends not to care, hiding the awe in her eyes, but Alexander notices. He offers her a shower, clean clothes, and a meal, and for the first time, she accepts something from him without a fight. When she steps out later, wrapped in one of his shirts, hair damp, Alexander's breath catches. He quickly looks away, hiding the flicker of attraction that threatens to break the careful walls they've both built. Over dinner, the silence between them is thick with unspoken questions. Finally, he asks, "Who are you, Emily? What happened to you?" She stares at her plate, her voice cold and distant. "I lost everything because of one man's greed." The words cut deep, and Alexander's expression shifts. For a brief second, guilt flashes across his face, but he hides it quickly. She doesn't notice, or maybe she does and chooses not to push. The next morning, he wakes to find her gone. No note, no trace. She's vanished back into the city that swallows people whole. Alexander feels something he hasn't felt in years, a pull he can't explain. She saved his life, but she's become something more than a savior. She's a mystery that won't let him go. He searches for her, day after day, returning to the alleys where she once led him, asking questions no one wants to answer. The more he searches, the more intrigued he becomes. Who is she really? What secrets does she carry? One night, as the city hums below his penthouse, Alexander looks out the window with a restless heart. Somewhere out there, Emily walks alone, carrying scars that mirror his own. And deep inside, he knows this isn't the end. The night that brought them together was no accident. It was the start of something powerful, dangerous, and impossible to ignore. The night air is sharp and cold when Emily senses she's being followed. The streets are quieter than usual, the kind of silence that warns of danger. Her hand grips the small locket hidden beneath her shirt as shadows stretch behind her. 3 thugs emerge from the alley, their faces cruel under the dim streetlight. "You've been holding on to something that doesn't belong to you," one snarls. Emily backs away, heart pounding, but she's cornered. They lunge, and she fights back with the ferocity of someone who's had to survive on the streets, but she's outnumbered. Just when one thug grabs her by the arm, headlights cut through the darkness and a car screeches to a halt. Alexander bursts out, fists flying, his suit jacket ripped as he takes them on with raw determination. The thugs scatter after a brutal struggle, leaving Emily shaken but unharmed. He rushes to her side, gripping her shoulders. "Are you okay?" She hesitates, eyes glistening, and for the first time she lets him see the fear beneath her strength. "I didn't want you to see this side of my life," she whispers. They don't return to his penthouse. Instead, she leads him to an abandoned train station where the city's forgotten gather at night. Under the faint glow of flickering lights, they sit on a cold bench, and the walls between them finally crack. Emily clutches the locket tightly, her voice trembling as she speaks. "This belonged to my father. He tried to do the right thing. He exposed corruption inside Heart Industries. Your company. He believed people deserved to know the truth." Her eyes harden as she continues. "For that, they destroyed him. Threats, financial ruin, and then, an accident that wasn't an accident. I lost him, and I lost everything." Alexander sits frozen, her words striking like a knife. Memories of boardroom whispers, covered-up scandals, and his father's ruthless business moves flood back. His chest tightens as realization dawns. The pain in her eyes is because of his family's legacy. "Emily, my father, he was the one who let this happen," he admits, voice cracking. "I spent years cleaning up after him, undoing the damage he left behind, but I never knew it cost someone like you everything." She stares at him, a mix of rage and disbelief. "Why should I trust you?" Without a word, Alexander pulls out a folder from his coat, worn from being carried too often. Inside are documents, evidence of his own fight against the same corrupt board members who orchestrated her father's downfall. "Because I've been fighting them too," he says, his voice low but steady. "I've risked everything to take them down. You're not alone in this." The locket in her hand glimmers under the dim light, as if her father's spirit is there, watching. Tears well in her eyes, not of weakness but of release, as she finally lets herself believe someone is on her side. Alexander reaches for her hand, and she doesn't pull away. In that abandoned station, amidst the decay of the world around them, an unexpected warmth grows between two broken souls. They sit there in silence for a long time, two people connected by tragedy but bound by something new: hope. The city outside is still cruel, but here, under the forgotten lights, Emily and Alexander realize they are not just survivors of the same storm, they are the beginning of something powerful enough to change everything. The next morning, Alexander walks into the gleaming boardroom of Hart Industries, the weight of everything pressing on his shoulders. The room is filled with the faces of the men who have profited from lies and blood. They greet him with fake smiles, unaware of the storm about to break. Emily, hidden just outside the door with a small recorder tucked in her sleeve, listens as Alexander starts the meeting. His voice is calm, but each word cuts like a blade. "We need to talk about what you've done, the lives you've ruined, the blood on your hands." The board members scoff, exchanging glances, until one of them laughs bitterly. "You wouldn't dare go against us, Alexander. We made this company. We made you." Another adds, "Your father understood what it takes to survive. Sacrifices had to be made." The room grows tense, their arrogance spilling into open confession as they brag about silencing whistleblowers, crushing anyone who threatened them, and covering their tracks. Emily's recorder captures every word. When she steps into the room, the board freezes. Her eyes burn with righteous fury. "I know what you did to my father. And the world is going to know too." She places the recorder on the table, pressing play. Their own voices fill the room, sealing their fate. Cameras flash as security bursts in, reporters trailing behind the exposure Alexander arranged. The corrupt board members are dragged out, their empire crumbling under the weight of truth. Justice, long denied, finally strikes. Later, as the chaos settles, Alexander finds Emily standing alone by the city skyline. She looks both relieved and lost, as if the victory hasn't yet sunk in. He steps beside her, his tone gentle. "It's over. They can't hurt you anymore." She nods, still clutching her father's locket, her voice barely a whisper. "I don't even know who I am without the fight." He turns to her, sincerity shining in his eyes. "Then start again. Go back to school, rebuild your life, or work with me. Help me make things right for others like you." She shakes her head slowly, fear flickering. "I don't want to depend on you. I can't." Alexander steps closer, his voice firm but warm. "Emily, this isn't charity. This is what you deserve. You saved me, you saved this company's soul, and you've survived more than anyone ever should. Let me help you take back the life that was stolen from you." The words sink deep, breaking the last wall she had built around her heart. She looks at him, really looks, and sees not the man she once hated but someone who fought for her when no one else would. Her hesitation melts into a small, trembling smile, and for the first time in years, she allows herself to believe in a future. Weeks pass, and the city that once felt like an endless battlefield now hums with new possibilities. Emily walks through the halls of Alexander's newly formed foundation, where her voice now carries weight, her ideas shaping programs that lift people out of the darkness she once knew too well. The streets no longer own her, she owns her story. Each day she helps someone else climb out of the same shadows she escaped, and each night she feels a little more like the person she was always meant to be. Alexander watches her from afar, proud yet quietly in awe. The woman who once vanished from his world now stands beside him, not as someone needing saving but as his equal. They have rebuilt not only a broken company but also a bond that neither expected. The whispers of the past have faded, replaced by the sound of hope echoing in every life they touch. One evening, he invites her to the rooftop of his penthouse. The air is cool, the sky alive with stars, and the city below glows like a sea of light. A table is set under soft lanterns, their golden glow bathing them in warmth. Emily steps out, her hair catching the breeze, her eyes wide at the beauty around her. "You didn't have to do all this," she says softly, but Alexander just smiles. "I wanted to. For you." As they dine, laughter replaces the scars of their past. The world feels far away, and for a moment, it's just the two of them against the night sky. After dessert, he stands, offering her his hand. She takes it, and they walk to the edge where the city stretches endlessly beneath their feet. He turns to her, his voice quiet but full of conviction. "Emily, beneath the surface, I found someone worth fighting for." His words are raw, stripped of everything but truth. She looks at him, her smile soft and radiant, her heart no longer guarded. "So did I," she replies, her voice trembling with emotion. As the city glows below and the stars burn above, their lips meet in a kiss that feels like the final piece of a puzzle falling into place. Around them, the world keeps moving, but in that moment, nothing else exists. Two souls who had been broken by the same darkness now find light in each other, and the story that began with fire and rain ends with love that no storm could ever wash away.